Things are getting worse around here, aren't they? Too many things are changing. Yeah.
Everybody just talks about how afraid they are of dying. Well, I don't think that's the worst thing that can happen to you here.
You can't save them all.
Welcome, everyone, back to Horror with Nadia. Thank you so much for spending your Friday with us. Today, we are going to be diving into From Season 3, both Episode 4 and 5, since we missed last week. Before we get into that, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell as well to get all notifications on all live streams. There's a big one happening tomorrow, which I will talk more at the end of today's stream. And lastly, before I bring everybody on, thank you so much to everybody who voted for me for Faces of Horror. I did not make it to the next round, but that's okay. We made it to semifinalists, and I want to thank you all for supporting me and, you know, being cheerleaders and helping me out. So that being said, enough of that mushy stuff. Let's get everybody on the screen, which of course I am not used to StreamYard. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday.
Yes, indeed. Happy Friday.
Let's
Hello.
go.
And we have a newcomer, AJ, with us from In Love with Horror with his wife. How's it going, AJ?
What's up, everybody? Yeah, thank you for inviting us. We're excited to talk from. We're big fans of the series over here. My wife may pop in a little bit later. She's wrangling up the kiddos, but excited to talk from.
Awesome. Zach's always welcome on everything I do.
Thanks, Nadia. And I want to say I'm excited to talk about these two episodes. This show is getting better, I think. Season 3 has been fun, and I'm glad that Nikki's gone. She had it coming. She deserved it, and yeah,
not our Nikki, not a Night of Horror Nikki. Nikki on the show.
Yes. The glorified extra Nikki. She's gone.
The one that had to use the bathroom so bad.
Oh my
God. The one bathroom in the whole entire
Kick out the
house.
pregnant woman. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Julie, how's it going?
Good. You caught me right when I was drinking water. Good.
You're hydrating. That's important.
Yes, I'm trying to hydrate more. I've been doing so many lives that I'm losing my voice. But other than that, no, I'm enjoying it though. I can never have too many live streams talking about From. So I'm glad to be with you.
You need a tip link just for people to tip money so that you can buy cough drops and throat stuff for your throat for how many streams you have been on. But thank you for giving some time to me today. I always love having you on because you are our From expert, I like to say. You do a lot of deep dives.
Oh, you're too kind. And I'm always happy to join you. It's always a good time. So thank you for having me.
And last but not least, Nick, you're always with me on all the shows. How's it going, my guy?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm a little tired, but it's because I have a long day, but I'm hanging in there. I'm excited to talk about From, though. It's been like since the first week of season 3 since I've been here, because I know last week was canceled and I was out with a stomach flu on week 2. So it's good to be back.
You know, I always love having you on with me. So that's
same here.
From House of the Dragon to Penguin to this. And maybe I think we're thinking about doing Silo next.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that was a good show.
Good choice.
I'm going to run through. There's just a couple people in the chat and then I will pull up the episode. Hi, Niet. Romulus still was better than Aliens. Lord Toxic. It is from.
Wow. What a take.
Yeah.
Oh, AJ, you don't. I don't see movies, and I have very interesting takes on them.
She's just wrong takes. She's wrong. She's incorrect. Her takes.
All right. I will. AJ, listen. I like.
Don't suck up to AJ. He's not going to help you.
I like Romulus. He's a horror guy. I like Romulus more because it has a horror element more so to it. I'm not saying Aliens isn't a bad movie. It's a great movie, but yeah. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. I get that aspect, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I like it because it has the more horror angle. To me, the best one out of the 3 is Alien. I think Alien is the top one because it's more of a horror element.
Sure.
Romulus to me, I like more than Aliens because it leans more into that, but I can understand Aliens is a great action movie. Like it's a great movie. I just flavor. I like Romulus Moore. Hi, Christy. We're
better
talking
movie.
about From, I swear, not
Hi.
aliens.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
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 She just dropping an alien hot take. That's all.
Oh, what was the hot take? I missed it.
It's a bad
I like
take.
Romulus more than aliens.
Okay. I
You
think
probably
I
would agree with
her.
that. Yeah. She doesn't care for aliens either.
I'm not alone. I'm not alone.
Maybe it's a
can I
gender
say?
thing.
Maybe so.
We're getting Romulus too, right? So that's hype.
We are.
We
Yeah.
are.
Super excited.
Now,
about
is that going to be the other side of the ship?
Maybe
I
so?
don't know. You'd think, right?
Yeah.
How would that work?
Yeah. Who knows?
I don't care. I like what I like. I like what I like, okay?
Touche.
I will not be shamed to do it. Okay, let's get into From, shall we? We're going to talk about episode 4 for a little bit, called There and Back Again. Episode 3
A Hobbit's
ended.
Tale?
The Hobbit's-
I had
Is
to.
it-
I'm so sorry.
Is it a Hobbit's Tale?
Yeah.
Well,
There and back again.
I bet there's
by
somebody that
Bilbo
compares
Baggins.
From to Lord of the Rings. There has to be parallels in the. Maybe. I don't know.
Dale's a bit of a hobbit, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. Poor Dale.
Victor
Yeah.
is.
He was.
He looks like one.
Victor's like Bilbo, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. He likes to
Does
stay
somebo-
inside. And he likes to keep to his stuff.
Julie, is your cat with you?
Yes, she.
Is that what's
Her-
purring?
Can you
Yeah.
hear her purring?
Yes. I was wondering.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to make her move. I was wondering if you could hear it.
You're good.
She purrs like a Mack truck.
All right. So There and Back Again starts off where episode
don't.
3 ended, where Tabitha and the 2 paramedics and the cop here ends in front of a falling tree. Everybody who watches From knows what that is. I think, though, the fallen tree is different than what we've normally seen in the past from other people who have come across it. Am I right on that one?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, look different.
Different tree, different road. Yeah. So far we've seen 3, and every single time it's like the road looks different and the tree is different too. So yeah, interesting.
I heard Julie B talk about that in her show, and that was the first time I'd never noticed that ever. So, yeah, full of knowledge
I
over there.
noticed it this time, and I was like, and I went back. I'm like, wait a second, is it the same as before? And it was. So it's kind of intriguing because they all end up in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We've never seen anyone walk over the tree, have we?
I think season 1, Ethan was on top of it or climbed on top of it.
Yeah.
He stood on top of it. But I was so hoping that this would be the time that we would finally see what happens when somebody goes over the tree, because up until this point, there wasn't any motivation for anybody to do that, because why would you leave your vehicle and walk over the tree? Nobody would do that. But this time, Tabitha knew exactly what this meant. I wanted her to go sprinting over the thing and just see what would happen. But it wasn't to be, unfortunately.
I wonder if you go over the tree, it would just continue your journey wherever you're supposed to go. Like, in a sense, whatever the entity is giving you a choice, like either go over the tree and continue your life and go on with your life with whatever's going on, or you choose instead to take the easy route, which is to go backwards, and then you end up in From.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were wondering that same thing too. But we noticed like there was like a ton more crows. I feel
Yeah.
like this time, and I almost wonder if the entity would just even put more pressure. So if you went past the
Or
tree,
to
there would
keep you
even
from
be
going
more
over it.
obstacles or something
Mm.
like afterwards. To, like you're gonna get to that town no matter what.
Or maybe, or it could be a different settlement within, because now we found the second settlement where they, with all those creepy statues, going past the tree could lead to a different area of it. It's so strange to me that they haven't explored. And to me, I have a feeling there's an outsider somewhere. I think that's who they hear
Yeah.
outside the cabins at night.
Yeah.
That's my theory. And I think it might be Victor's sister. That's just my thought.
Mm.
Nia in the chat here has a good point. He was talking about burning it and driving forward. I think that I would have liked to have seen with this group, because there's the 2 paramedics, police officer, and 2 other adults, that they would have at least brainstormed the idea of, can we move this tree? They have a good solid vehicle that actually, might have some power to it. Could you pull it? Could you burn it? And they don't have to do it, but at least have a conversation about it, and so show me that you're actually thinking about it, because I think a lot of people in this case would have tried to have moved it or got around it somehow, and they just didn't even bother. So I get stuck in nuts and bolts like that, but even just talking about it would be enough for me to just forget about it and move on, but they just never address it.
I think Donna is a monster. It's interesting.
There's always I think the old woman is Tilly. That's what he's talking about with the tarot cards.
Yeah, I know Tilly, but for like Donna to be a monster?
Donna breaks down too much that I would actually be more disappointed that she is a spy or a mole than anything.
I don't think so.
Because it would not fit within her
Personally.
character journey and development throughout these seasons either. If she was the mole.
I agree.
Like,
Yeah.
I would not be surprised, and I know this is YouTube, so I'm going to try to say this as friendly as possible. I would not be surprised if Donna ended it for herself, if she would have a tragic ending like that, because the last couple episodes she's just been breaking down each time, and she's losing hope inch by inch. So I wouldn't be surprised if that is her way out. The nicest way I could say it for YouTube, but yeah.
Yeah, and I can see something like that too, because she's very much like, feeling like this place is taking control, and it'd be like her way of getting control back. Like I'm going out on my own terms, sort of.
Yeah, she's definitely getting to her wit's end, which isn't good.
Yeah,
I think she has a good strength to the show, but it's unfortunate that everything's been happening, and that it's like she and Boyd were like the father and mother figures to a certain extent, and I honestly, both of them have been pushed to the limits, and so if both of them are at their wits' end, it's like, well, then who takes over at that point? Who helps guide the town and like parent them and like not so much tell them what to do, but to offer some sort of like forward movement to stick together and to not like really lose hope.
Yeah, and you reminded me of something too. And the actor who plays Kenny, Ricky said that the two pillars of the town are starting to crumble, and so he's feeling like he needs to step up more this season. The character of Kenny. And when he said that, I know he was talking about Donna and Boyd. They're the two pillars of the town. She's the the colony house leader. He's the town leader, and now they kind of just work together as a team, because there doesn't seem to be like this divide anymore. Like they're all just kind of one community now, it seems.
Yeah.
I do have a question for AJ and Christy. Are you Team Kenny or not Team Kenny?
Oh, I'm always Team Kenny.
We're Team Kenny over
Oh,
here.
you guys are Team Kenny? I will say he has done some big spurs of growth in this season. I found him very annoying the last season, but and
I can see that.
He could have taken the grief of his mother and been more of hate to say it, a little bitch, a little bit more of one. But I like that it's actually turned the ties with him and made him more of a man in a sense, like taking charge, trying to get stuff done. But that's the way grief triggers things for everybody differently. So
Well, remember season 2 with Kenny when he was sort of playing sheriff and he left Sarah in the police station with a gun and said, "It's right here, go take it," to possibly unalive herself. But if you actually think she's a monster, you left her alone with a gun. Like, that's not sheriff material. So no, Sheriff Kenny, no. Well, you storm off. Yes, your dad's dead. I feel so bad for you, but no, dude, you don't leave a gun with her and tell her to use it.
That's another question I have for the two of you. Are you Team Sarah should be redeemed or not?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I feel like she was manipulated, and I feel like she's come a long way since then.
Yeah, I think there's room for redemption.
I think there's room for it. Yeah,
especially because she wants to be helpful. I think it'd be different if she was, like an asshole or something like that. But I feel like she genuinely wants to be able to contribute and have that that ability to be a part of society, to be helpful. So I think there's room for it.
Yeah. Now going back to what you said, Zax, about Kenny, I don't think he's a good officer now. Okay. I think he's cool. Like outside of that, I think he's a sweet boy, and I just want to be like, oh, I just want to give you a hug. But yeah, no, he's not a good officer whatsoever.
Yeah. And he's been beat down.
Yeah.
You know?
He has, but I thought he could have done. It would have been more for him to have been at least a bigger person with her, and like he seemed so petty when he's smashing all of her stuff that his mom had given to her, that his mom had saved for her, and then he takes it upon himself to destroy it. That whole episode I thought was bad. It was bad look for him, but he can be redeemed for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I go back and forth. Like I said, I really like the character change of him taking charge, and maybe it's true he's seen Boyd is starting to fall apart, Donna, and then who's the next generation to, in a sense, take the lead and making sure these people stay sane. But if you had asked me in season 2 if there was any characters to do that, I would not have picked Kenny. Kenny would not have been the guy that I would have been like, rah, rah, Kenny on it. So now this is an interesting scene in this episode because Ethan gets to talk to his dead brother. Obviously, it's not his dead brother, but I like that this kind of motivated Jim to finally tell someone what's going on, because I think the biggest fault in this show, which could be a writer's fault, is characters do not communicate with each other here. They even in the town hall, I don't feel like it was very much communication going on of what's going on. Like, people should know that Jim's dead brother should be Jim's dead son is calling him, and that it's not as simple as to go to the lighthouse. She had to be pushed out of the lighthouse, which was left out in that as well. So what do we think is going on here with using Thomas to play on this emotion? Is this Jim's start of a origin of being the villain, or some sort of villain coming in? He's going to lose his mind. I will let the panel guys take it away. What do you guys think?
This is another really diabolical mind game on Jim, and now bringing Ethan into it. That surprised me. I thought it was just going to be Jim who got these calls, and then Ethan was brought into it. Like this took it to another level, and the call to Ethan just. Wow, trying to lure him outside, saying that your mom's gonna be back in the ambulance, and she needs your help. You have to be brave. And it turns out, it's clearly not him, but like it's not only Jim that can hear it, it's Ethan too. It's targeting both of them. So it's psychological warfare on Jim, I think, and now also trying to put his kid in danger, having him, enticing him to run outside at night. Oh, wow. That was that was unexpected for me, and I definitely think it's whatever big bad is in this place is responsible for that voice. It's it's just crazy to me, and then like, well, I'm sure we'll get to it, but it drops the act. It doesn't call Jim Daddy this time. It just says Jim when he picks up the phone. So it's like. Okay, yeah. Anybody that might have thought this is Thomas from another timeline or another universe, I think that negates that at this point. I don't think it could be.
Do we think it's the same entity that was talking to Sarah, or it's just the same overall that could be playing with head games here with the Miller family?
I think more than one entity talks to Sarah. I think that she can probably hear maybe spirits of the deceased, and also the big bad as well. We know that could talk to her too. So yeah, I think whatever big bad entity has spoken to her is also responsible for this voice, in my opinion.
That's a good question I do have for our newcomers for today, AJ and Christy. What do you guys think is going on? Do you think there's an overall like fight of good versus evil, and these guys are just chess pieces, or what are your theories on it? I'm curious to know.
Yeah, well, I think at least speaking for myself, I think you kind of see it this way too. I definitely think it's like a good versus evil type of situation, and I think that there's like a singular evil entity that, like, so that the one that talked to Sarah is the same one that's calling on the phones, the same one that was talking to Boyd, telling him that that we're going to break you and all that stuff. To me, it's all one and the same, and it's all part of the strategy and tactic to like put them in the position to destroy them and then eventually consume them. And that's just how I view it. I don't know if you want to add or change anything to that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I feel like there is a good and an evil we've seen the good and with Father Kachi and with the little boy in white. I feel like there are some good pieces too, but obviously I do think there's a bigger evil that's at play. But what's going on? I don't know.
I don't think anybody knows. I still think it's the joke going on is I think it's all Norse mythology related because it kind of fits in lines with a lot of Norse mythology, and people give me crap for it all the time.
Okay.
The talismans
up a
are
little
Norse.
bit.
Yeah, the talismans are Norse mythology. There could be some kind of these monsters are I forgot what they're called, but there's a similar creature in Norse mythology that's similar to them. I really think there's a play of like some like Loki involved, and it just kind of fits for me in my head. It fits for me, but sometimes these episodes throw me a curveball, and I'm like, maybe not.
Yeah.
But interesting. I think we all are on the same page of like we think these guys are just there's an overabundance of some kind of battle of good versus evil happening, and these guys are just being played in the center of it.
Yep.
Like Fatima. Ooh. Do you guys think Fatima is the kimono lady?
I don't.
No.
I'm trying to make it fit,
No.
but I don't see it.
No, I don't think so.
She's just weird.
She is that.
I don't know who eats dead crops.
Somebody who's giving birth to a nightmare baby, apparently.
Yeah,
Monster baby.
there's still a lot. I mean, obviously in this episode, in episode 4, I was kind of frustrated because she's still doing it, and there's still no real direction at this point. Obviously, things changed finally in episode 5 because I was going to have a bit of an issue if they didn't make any progress with that writing. But there again, I still think there's some things missing with Fatima. So
Yeah.
My theory is I don't think Fatima is going to become a nightmare creature anymore. I honestly think she might die in childbirth. If in a sense, I really think she's just a vessel for something to come forward.
Yep.
And it might not even be a nightmare creature. It could be something else. Because the more I watch this, especially with the last episode, the theory of the cycles happening with the dates kind of fits the idea of that these nightmare creatures were human at one point and turned, and the reason why they're clothing is because they're part of the cycle that they were part of. It kind of aligns with it, especially since we know that they're kind of partially human after one has been dissected or was human at one point. What do you guys think they could possibly be? Anyone?
I personally, I have a kind of a different take than most people. I don't think they necessarily were human at one point. I think that they might have been something pulled from a nightmare, kind of like we've seen other things that have been pulled from nightmares or manifested from people's fears. Like there's the theory that maybe the cicada entity was manifested by Sarah's brother's fear of cicadas. Maybe the monsters were manifested from a fear of someone or a nightmare at one point. So it could be a misdirect that maybe they were never human to begin with. They just look like they were. But that's just my take. I know most people think that they were human, which they could have been. That's my take on that.
To go further in your take, they could be manifestations of people's fears. And the reason why they look human is it could be manifested into the person that they trust the most during that time. So like a nurse, one is a mailman, like people who usually don't come off as like evil or deceiving.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's Victor. I think he's manifesting what they look like. I think that goes back to, it could fit time frame wise with his age. It's hard to tell how old he is, but if these are his ideals of what people did as jobs when he was a kid, and if it does take part of something manifesting from someone who lives there, these could be taking this form because of him. That's my out left field take.
Exactly. Like, if I had to pick, I would say Victor. I agree. I agree. Yeah.
I do think he has a bigger role in things, bigger connection that we just don't see yet. So I like that idea.
Yeah, and that going back to the creatures, I do think that they did used to be human. Because I guess I kind of wonder, like, if we go back to when Victor was a kid and everybody got slaughtered, I guess I'm kind of curious to think, was it the same group of monsters that we're seeing currently, or was it a different group? So I almost wonder if the monsters that we see were like the original that came from some sort of ritual or something, and they kind of just permanently exist. And, you know, I don't know if, like, you know, Fatima will give birth to a new one, but I do think that they were previously human.
There's just a lot of unknown still, and you know, I think really so far we're still getting you know, a lot more questions than answers, and I think this is one of my concerns for the show, is that, you know, this is just becoming another Lost, and I don't like the idea that this is quote unquote a purgatory, because I think that is just a bit of a cop out. I think it's weak writing. You know, it's been there, done that, you know, 20 years ago. And I want it to be something different. You know, I don't care if it's, you know, something that's more, you know, supernatural based. I think it would be better at that point, you know, much like you said, AJ, I do think that Victor does have a bigger role. And I think the fact that his father is now with him, I think that is going to unlock more answers for us. So, you know, I know we're at the halfway point of the season, and I really think we're going to get to, you know, like the last half of the show, or this season 3, we're going to start to get more answers and uncover more of what how everything is kind of, you know, amalgamated to this point where, you know, you've got weird portals, you've got people locked up in, like, you know, underground chambers. You know, when people go through trees, it doesn't always, you know, turn out well for certain people, aka Dale. You know, and you know, it's weird, but then you have this lighthouse where an imaginary, well, I want to say an imaginary kid, but a kid that may or may not be real, pushes a woman through a window, and she wakes up in a hospital in Maine.
Right.
You know, it's so weird, and I like that mystery, and I think that's what keeps me watching. But there's just a lot of things that definitely still need to be, you know, fleshed out for us. And I'm not saying, like, give us the answer and like nail on the head type of thing, like, but just, you know, put a little bit more detail in there in certain cases. Maybe certain episodes can spend a little bit more time with certain characters, kind of like they did in season 1. And that way we can kind of start to maybe harden in on some of our theories. But yeah, I don't know. I think they were monsters. I think it was some sort of ritual. I think there was some sort of like, I like to believe that it's some sort of cursed land, because the whole phone thing with, like, Jim and his son, it's just very strange. It's like, goes back to the radio tower on the roof. It's like, is that the same entity talking to them on the phone that was a man that is now a dead kid?
Right.
So I don't know.
We never got any follow up on that either. The whole
exactly
thing.
It's like, you know, I'm like, you guys remember that tower y'all built, but then it kind of just crashed because there was magically a storm came by too. Like, so I don't know. It's like, did an entity create this storm? And it would make sense that, you know, someone's pulling the strings, but, you know, at the same time, who is it? Just one thing? Is it multiple things? Is it a group? Like, there's so much to really fully flesh out, and to, you know, I would like to see, you know, if whoever's writing the show and they're like, you know what, I've got a full hand right now, I'm going to give them one big card reveal that just blows our minds. And it's like, oh my God, like, and sure, maybe some theories for us, or some of us, have been incorrect, or we'll get like affirmative answers. I think we need something super big to, you know, keep us talking and, you know, expand on our theories moving forward. Just something, you know, completely left field, but just crazy. That's what I want to see. I don't know if I'll get that though, or if we'll get that.
I have the same concerns as you do, that this would be turned into some kind of Lost like ripoff. But Niet has joined us. Niet from Films Comics Explain. How's it going?
Howdy. Hey,
What up?
guys. How are you?
Oop, go ahead.
I've binged this show like over the past week and a half, 2 weeks,
Nice.
on recommendation from discussions I've seen. You have Nadia, and also Zach played a bit of a clip on his podcast last week. So I have a different perspective. I haven't been watching this over the years, literally just in the past week and a half. And I think there's something about this show that has gripped me. That is unique, that we don't really see in television shows. But at the same time, just as entertaining as it can be, it's also quite frustrating. I'm worried that we're heading into, you guys mentioned sort of like the Lost mystery box J.J. Abrams direction, where just enough is given to the audience so that we're excited to see where it goes, but we don't always get sufficient answers to the questions that we have. There's a lot of miscommunication. There's tiny pieces of information that each character has, and I was hoping, because last week I complained that they don't communicate, and Nadia said they're about to have a town meeting. My hope was that they were going to actually explain all the little bits and tiny pieces of information that they all have, but they don't. Nothing really great comes from that discussion. Like, nothing's resolved. They're back to square one. It's an interesting show.
We riot in the streets if this goes a Lost route. I say everybody who loves the show, that's it. And we just don't watch anything from these writers ever again. I wanted to bring up also, why am I blanking on his Randall? I keep forgetting because I was watching something else that had a Randall in it. Randall's misfortune here in this episode, which ends the episode with him pretty much his face torn apart, probably other torture happening to him on top of the ambulance, when initially we thought probably he was going to be killed because Boyd had to make the choice of saving Tabitha and Henry or saving Randall, which, by the way, he could have easily backed over those monsters or something.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just kill him.
Yeah. Maybe in a high stress situation, we all can say this, right? But in a high stress situation, it's your fight or flight, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But
it's
I feel
true,
like
but we're not Boyd.
It's foreshadowed here in this scene, though, where he's talking about,
think Boyd would
I
have
want to
been
help.
better. That's all. That's my idea.
Yeah.
Well, it's especially considering Randall's doing a huge 180, is coming to his side. He's starting to see that working as a group is the best way to survive, and he outright says he wants to help. And so I thought it was implying that Boyd was going to run them over. He doesn't do that. He drives everybody up to the commune. But then when they're all getting out of the ambulance, I thought that Boyd was looking back to drive back to where Randall was, but he doesn't do that either. So there's two moments that Boyd essentially failed Randall, which is really disappointing.
Yeah.
And to me, this was a plot by the monsters to put friction between what is happening already with the town, where part of them are just sick of it. They're losing hope. They are desperate. We see that with episode 5, where they're like, okay, let's all go in the tree and try this out. Versus Boyd, who's trying to be rational, trying to calm people down, put a plan together. He's not necessarily still playing defense. I think he's motivated to be on the offense side, such as like trying to capture one of these things. But yeah, this is just, it's really interesting going back and watching this and seeing the foreshadowing in this conversation between him and Boyd of like, I'm on your team, and then you left your teammate out to die.
Yeah.
And then come back to him.
I actually really hated this just because of that. I didn't like Randall in the beginning when he first, was introduced to the town.
I don't think anybody did.
Yeah. But I saw this great opportunity because Boyd came to him like, okay, let's catch these monsters. And we all know Randall would be the perfect person to help him do this. And then he does that to him. I was just super disappointed that that's the way they decided to take that.
And I think that's what's so incredible about the entity. Like, it's playing this incredible, sinister game of chess where you're just like, damn, like, it knows exactly what it's doing. I feel like it knows everything that's going on, and it's, moving the pieces perfectly. Like, oh, they're getting a little too close. Oh, I can fix that. Like, oh, you're going to have to pick between these two. What are you going to do? Like, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Kenny and Chrissy are getting close. Well, let me bring Chrissy's fiance into town.
Oh,
like,
exactly.
It's
yes.
genius.
This is all fresh for you too, Nia. That's cool. This is all new.
Oh yeah.
So this part I wanted to say about this whole the Randall situation is that, to me, and this was Julie's idea from earlier, is that we're hearing a lot of talk about game, win, team, like you had just said. And it feels to me that Boyd didn't do what we thought Boyd should do because he's playing by their rules. They said, here's the deal. And he honored that deal. When he didn't go back, I was blown away. I thought at the very least he'll go back and check on Randall and maybe make the rescue. But when he didn't do that, like he made an agreement and he stuck to it with the monsters, which I didn't expect.
That's a really good.
That's a great point.
And
I
the
was surprised too
monsters
that
are
he didn't go back.
Yeah, I was really
a little-
surprised as well.
It's a little uncharacteristic for Boyd too, because he was a Marine. You know, it's like you don't leave your guys behind. And I know that
Exactly.
they didn't really get on off the right foot when they first came to town, but I think because of Boyd's desperateness, he was able to look to Randall for help in his plan. And that again, I think we had talked about before at one point, or maybe I was reading something that there might be a redemption arc for Randall, and that this could be the start of it. Even though, like someone just said, he might sacrifice himself too, which again would be part of his redemption arc. But when Boyd just leaves him there, and I'm like, yeah, whatever was about to be mended, it was just broken instantly.
Yeah.
As well, like that trust, that faith in, like, hey, we're on the same side. Like literally, you just ruined it. And
Yeah,
it was. I was kind of disappointed in Boyd. Like I get why they wrote it that way, but still, just in the instance of caring for what Boyd's decisions are, I didn't like that at all.
it's a very uncharacteristic decision, because throughout the series, he's motivated to bring these things down, to understand them, to undo all of the torment that the town is feeling. And by acquiescing to their demands like that, I was just like, no, this isn't Boyd. This is a contrived way the writers are facilitating a specific plot point of something happening to Randall to create more friction that wouldn't organically happen based on what we'd seen in the past. So I wasn't a fan of that. I think Randall's like Donna describes him as a powder keg, and he was standing in a precipice. On one side, it's him destroying the town and corrupting the people, and the other side is him being an asset to everybody, because he's military. Is he military? Because he does have a rifle.
He's army.
He's army.
His wife was
it's army.
Yeah. So I got the impression that Randall was going to be either useful or quite deadly. And in an instant, it's just gone back to where he was when we were first introduced to him. So which is disappointing, because you love to see the heel, when characters turn and they progress. But no more.
It would have been nice team up.
Yeah. It would, but it would have been too predictable, to be honest. From watching this show and other shows and stuff, it would be too predictable that the two of them come together. This putting a distance between them two, I think they'll get a lot more out of the writing for it, especially since Randall was one of the ones possessed in the last season, and we still don't even know what they all just say they've been hearing voices, but we don't know to the extent what they're seeing, the degree of stuff. So I think this sets it up where Randall could potentially be the shell for whatever entity is trying to cause more chaos there into it. I also would like to say that I like that the monsters have progressively gotten smarter throughout the seasons, instead of just because it throws you for a curve, right? We just think they're just creatures that come out at night hunting for humans. They're blocked by talisman. But now, especially with the opening of this season to now, they've calculated these things. So I think it gives a little bit more to what potentially they could be. One other thing I want to talk about for this episode is Jade, who by far is becoming one of my favorite characters, because I feel if I was stuck in From, this is who I would be. Just losing my mind. Everybody theorizes that he's going to lose his mind, like Julie reminding me, who's the guy that he's
Christopher.
Yep.
I don't think he's going to, because I think it's a red herring. I think it's a red herring that he's going to become Christopher. I think Jade's going to fight it. I think Jade will actually overcome it. But I wanted to, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think Jade is the one that figures the solution out. after episode 5. That was my thought. But at this point, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's I mean, he's the smartest person there. He's probably the smartest person who's ever been in this place. This place, I think in targeting him, it's underestimating him because he's not going to break. He's just always, I don't know, 5 steps ahead in his mind, and he's, you know, I mean, to the point where he's turning into Sasquatch, like not even paying any attention to what he looks like anymore. He's like, he's just non-stop focusing on this puzzle, putting it together. He'll figure it out in time. I think so.
I agree. I think he was underestimated, and obviously because of his background and what he does for a living, I think automatically his mind is going to snap and work everything out. He just needs the pieces of the puzzle, which they need to give him so he can figure it out.
They just gotta
Jim.
At some point.
Jeez.
He's determined to not become Christopher. Christopher lost his mind and turned his back on the community. And it's implied that Christopher had killed everybody. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's implied that he did something.
Something, but not maybe open the doors for the monsters.
Yeah.
Or something to lead
Something
to
to
the
that
massacre
effect.
that happened. Yeah.
But I think Victor, when he's talking to Jade, mentions the fact that Christopher was fun. He'd tell a lot of jokes. He was the lifeblood of the community. And then he slowly stopped talking to people and was very reserved. Jade is the opposite of that. Now that he's become aware of this thing and what it's trying to do to him, he's communicating with everybody. Do you know what I mean? And I do appreciate that about Jade. He's funny. I love him so much. He's my favorite character.
Yeah.
Me too. He's my
I forgot in
too.
season 2 where he actually hallucinates or meets Jasper or the dummy, which freaked me out. I'm like, does this thing can walk on? Like, is he like, it's just walking around town? Maybe that's what's scurrying around outside the cabins. Like, I would be out. Honestly, I would check out of this season. I don't do creepy dolls very well.
Dolls are my favorite horror tropes. I'm here for
stuff. All right.
I love it. Yeah, Slappy the dummy. It's Goosebumps vibes. It's classic Twilight Zone vibes. I love it.
Yep.
And I also like the fact that we get a little bit more. Okay, let me trap back. What did everybody think was going to be in the suitcase? I'll start with you, Nick. What did you think was going to be in the suitcase initially?
I thought it was going to be a film projector, like an old film projector. That's what I thought. But yeah,
AJ, Christy,
it's nothing relevant.
Oh, I thought.
I think we both thought it was going to be something from Victor's past.
From his past, yeah.
Like something that implicated his dad is like
a
bad guy.
I did think he was a bad
weird
guy
going on. Like,
yeah, I did. But you didn't agree with me on that.
Not initially, but then I was kind of like, maybe.
I tried to rope you in a little bit. Sorry about that. But yeah, no.
Henry is too good of a dad.
Yeah, he's too good of a dad.
It's
like something is suspicious here.
He never remarried. The rooms are the exact same. He has all the painting. Like, it's like, okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought initially.
I thought it might be his sister, which I know is gruesome, but
oh wow, yeah.
And I really did think that maybe that's what it was, and then start to uncover like what actually happened, like maybe what he's convinced himself happened didn't actually happen. He'd craft to question himself that way.
That'd have been messed up.
It's super messed up, I get, but yeah, I guess I'm super messed up. I'll take it.
What is this? The Blacklist?
I haven't watched that.
I've never been watched that show, but there was a huge, plot point in the show where there was a suitcase that had these old bones of it in it that was like a someone's mother, I believe. It was like this huge thing that they basically crapped the bed with story wise, but yeah, that'd have been weird though. Just carrying around like bones of his sister.
That would be super weird. But I was thinking that he's kind of the anchor, I think, for all of this stuff, because he's been there by himself for years. We've now seen people with 80s clothes, and which it's odd because we never heard the 80s reference, but there are people who lived and died there in the 80s. And Victor's been there for all of it. So I thought he might be more a part of this, even unconsciously. So he may not remember what happened or what was done, but I think it all tied back to him. And so that's why I was thinking maybe it's his sister, which is super morbid, but it's a morbid show.
Has anybody ever seen The Following with Kevin
Yes.
Bacon?
Yeah.
Yes.
Season 2, The Box. That's what it reminded me of. Yeah.
And that show had potential.
It did.
It did.
And I love EAP.
Yeah. What did you think was going to be in the suitcase?
Well, Victor's
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
was it me or
Yeah,
Nick?
you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
Throughout the series, Victor constantly refers to the drawings as reminders of those that we've lost, and you don't draw people who are still alive. So I assumed the suitcase is just filled with people that he'd lost, other people that perhaps he hadn't mentioned yet, and maybe pictures of things that he'd seen that would piece together what led to the demise of his community and why he was alone. That's what I initially thought. Yeah.
Julie?
Yeah, I initially I thought, well, all he ever seems to have are, more batches of old pictures. So I thought probably a bunch of old pictures or Polaroids or something. And then I heard somebody say that he probably has an old film projector in there with a film from the 70s, which I thought would have been really interesting to see. And I was kind of disappointed that, to be honest, that is, all these relics from the people that died there. But I mean, at the same time, I got something in this episode I was not expecting to get, which was even better than an old film, which was a flashback of actual Christopher and the dummy. And so that I was satisfied.
Yeah.
Like that's all I needed.
All right. I have a couple questions for the panel, and before we get into episode 5, we'll talk about 2 other core things on this episode. One being, I really don't think the cop is at fault for shooting Nikki. I think that was an accident. I think that was heightened emotions overblown, because technically these people have been together for how many months, years? So they are like a family. So I would feel like I would react the same way. But does anybody else think it wasn't an accident?
I think it was an accident.
Yeah, it was an
It was
accident.
just that, why are you shooting behind you?
She's a terrible shot.
That's true. That's true. She's a terrible shot. Yes. Yes.
But yeah, no,
Yes,
I don't.
agree.
It was an accident for sure. Yeah.
It was the wrong thing to do in a fight or flight situation.
Yeah. She had a lot of adrenaline pumping through her veins. She's just reacting. Everywhere she turns, she's seeing one of these creatures. And I think we get a shot of somebody peering through the window, and that's what she shoots at. So it's just instinct kicking in. She made a mistake. It wasn't her fault. I don't think people should be blaming her the way that they are, but I get it. I get where they're coming from as well. So
it was weird though. Sorry,
weird.
Zach.
Oh, no, I was going to say it's yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. I'll wait.
No, I was saying it was weird for her to shoot in the direction of a window when there's other targets that are not behind a window.
Yeah.
Like
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I thought it might be an
I think
editing mistake, that because it didn't look right for me either. I couldn't figure out why, but maybe you're right. Maybe it was more of a plot thing than a poor edit. But I thought it might be a bad edit. And also, yeah, it was a nice shot. She took out the right person. But the thing is like,
as soon as it happens, Zach,
Yeah,
Chris and I
yeah.
turn to each other. It's like Zach is probably smiling
couldn't
right now.
stand her. And so, but okay, but everyone in the house is watching this happen, and so you better be blaming yourself for not opening the door and yelling or telling her what to do. You've all been there before. Your first night, you don't know what's happening. Now she's in that position, and none of you say anything. You hide in the house, and she's firing off a gun. So you've never seen the creatures do that. So obviously she's a person. So open the door and say, "Hey, stop shooting and get in here," right? But no one does until after she shoots Nikki, which maybe was the plan from my end.
did everybody think it was odd that, remember the first day that I forget their name, the family, the main family that arrived. They're tied up. They're essentially the Matthews. They're tied up essentially. Some of them, in separate rooms. Did you guys think it was odd that the police officer wasn't disarmed of her gun? It's her first night there.
Yes.
She's freaking out. She has just killed somebody as well.
That's
It's not
a
that
good
she's
catch.
armed, but considering everybody else had to have their weapons taken away from her, I get that she's an officer, but she should have been de-armed. Like they should have taken her weapon away. I thought it was
She
odd
and
that they let her
Henry.
keep it.
Yeah. Both
you're
of
right.
them.
Yeah.
By
I
the
thought
way,
that was weird too.
spoiler not spoiler, I think it was a little bit of a bitch move on Boyd's end, not welcoming her help when she came to her
100%.
in the next episode, because you now have somebody, granted she's a bad shot in this episode, but you have somebody who's a trained officer who has in a sense a uniform that's an authority figure that is willing to help you, bring kind of law and order back into and help people settle down, and you turn your back on her. So a little bit of a
That
weird
bothered
move
me
on
too.
his part.
That's
Yeah.
the other character from the Boyd that I've gotten to know, that he
An
would do that
emotional
because
thing.
you'd be more understanding of what she was going through. It was a rough 30 seconds for her when she sees her two paramedics get ripped to pieces, and then she's being chased by monsters that aren't falling when she shoots them. And so yes, she handcuffed people in the ambulance, but you have to understand that she didn't know any of this ahead of time. She doesn't have the information you have. So, you'd think you'd be more forgiving, and that she's trying to now come out and be helpful. I would have, encouraged that instead of shaming her when she still has a firearm on her.
Yeah.
It's a bad move.
Yeah.
I almost
Now,
feel like
my last-
Boyd doesn't know what to do anymore. And
Yeah.
he's angry with himself, and therefore he's taking out his anger on everyone else around him at the same time. But yeah, I don't know why they decided to make him react that way to her when she did come to him. I just think at this moment he doesn't know what to do, and then someone comes to tell you what to do. Like, for example, me and you, right? Like, I can't stand it when AJ tells me to do something I'm already trying to do or planning to do, and I'm like, I already know that,
Yeah, yeah, but I think it's also too, like, they've already they're losing, people in the community, like even going back to the beginning of the season, right? And so, like you're saying, Boyd's kind of at a loss on, like, how do we move forward? And then this person comes and takes out another member of the community, and the community's pissed at this person. I think naturally, as him being the head of it, he's like kind of taking on all of that energy and now directing it, at her when they had that interaction.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. Heightened senses. They've lost people. The whole issue with Randall showing up on the ambulance the day before and stuff, so it could be heightened. I just still think it's a little bit out of character for him to desperately seek for people in the town hall to listen to him, to help him get some order back in and let people calm down, just for the safety. And no offense, his son is kind of worthless in a lot of aspects here. I think that's thank you. I was trying to be mean. I was trying to be nice about it, but to have somebody to come to him and say, like, I'm willing to help you and Trey. So hopefully that will be mended soon. My last question on this episode before we get into episode 5 is my theory on this is that she's actually going after an organ that's in there. I think it's right around the liver area, because these creatures take, like, they basically take all of the human organs out. So to me, she's not actually licking up the blood. She's going, because they stated when Nikki started to hemorrhage that she was must have internal bleeding, so must have hit an organ somewhere where she was shot. That's my theory on this, that she's eating basically like liver. And then I have 2 questions from the chat, but what do you guys think? What is this leading to? Is she going to actually eat human flesh at some point?
She might. I think it's going to keep escalating. I could see that. I don't think she'll just stop at the blood. And I like that idea. She could have been going for an organ. I thought that they were going to do more with this, in the next episode, but I think we're going to see an escalation coming up in episode 6. There's going to be a lot going on with her specifically, and I think that this is definitely a sign that, like, I don't think she's personally turning into a monster. I think it's I think that there's some kind of entity inside her that's craving this, and she's not going to be able to control herself.
I agree with that.
I agree,
as someone who's been pregnant and has had cravings, they do get worse. Like, you want, for example, I used to like crave brownies, but I didn't want them cooked. So I would try to eat the raw batter. Then I would just eat the powder.
That's better than looking in the inside of egg shells. Okay.
And I think that too. I do think that she's. I don't think it's a specific organ. I just think it's just the internals in general. Since the monsters just suck out and eat all the internals, I think she's gonna go down that path, because I think she's got like a little from monster baby in her. Especially because she already proclaimed, like, hey, I couldn't even have babies before I got here. So I'm like, well, I feel like that's a big sign that something else,
if it is a from baby, how did it get in her?
That's a good question. And at what point?
I mean, I wonder again if it's like this weird supernatural cursed thing, right? Like, I mean, they could have, it could have happened the El natural way, right?
Right.
But there's some sort of weird rule in this town that if anyone tries to fornicate and have a baby, this happens, and which could have led to other nightmare creatures coming into existence. And I don't know, how fast they mature or anything like that, but I agree, AJ. I think it doesn't necessarily matter on the type of organ. It's just like the sight of blood, the smell of blood, the craving of blood, which leads to like the first organ that she can literally access. And I would say, in terms of what Lord Talks had said in chat, I was just reading that. I don't trust Tilly. I do trust Donna, but what I think that is maybe representing is like good and evil, where you have Donna that wants the baby for the sake of having goodness and it being a miracle, which I should believe she says in one of the episodes. Whereas Tilly, the fact that she just busted out those tarot cards, and I was just like, I don't know about that. Like,
Tilly's
yeah. So, but there again, who really knows if that baby is just cursed and is going to come out a demon, and then does it turn her into a demon as well? Does she just come full-fledged monster, and then I don't know
whether it's
like
turning
Prometheus.
Yeah, whether it's turning her into a monster is one thing, but I definitely think that child is not Ellis's. It's a supernatural being that's been implanted into her, like immaculate conception.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's becoming evil, but it's definitely changing her biochemistry. It's changing her appetite. It's also changing her mood and her mentality. She's become. Remember the first season? She was this. She sort of reminded me of the season of Spring, very hopeful. And now she's autumn, like decaying. There's just something not quite right with her.
I think we got a little bit of that too with, I think it might have been episode 5 though. I'm not sure now. But when Julie was looking outside and we got that memory of what Fatima had said to her. Yeah. And you see that change in her. Like how she went from this sunshine and rainbows, and I'm accepting that we're here right now, to she was freaking out in that town hall meeting, like we got to get the hell out of here type of thing. Like she's completely changed.
You remember they went to the little lake area and swam in that little, what season was that?
Yeah,
they did that.
She did.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think Fatima's, the reason she's so keen to leave is she believes that the only way for this baby to be healthy and for her to be healthy mentally and from a biochemical perspective is for them to just leave this area. She thinks that the longer she stays here, the worse it's going to turn out for the baby. And I mean, I do agree with her. Like this baby is crooked. Like nothing's going to save it.
It ain't right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
What
this
if it-
episode and go ahead, Zex.
What if it comes out as Dale?
Anyway, this episode
That would have been crazy.
It's going to come out like Alien Romulus.
Oh, I actually was thinking Alien 4. That's what I was thinking. Well,
that's true.
talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to make a Romulus
kinda
joke.
aligns with that more. All right. I am going to queue up episode 5. I do have a couple questions starred that I will pull up for the panel. I will say we have 21 people watching. Thank you so much for everybody who is tuning in. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share the stream with everyone who's interested in From. And even if they're not, they should be watching this show. So 2 questions start. Question for the panel. Victor's dad, is he the old guy from season 2 that gave Boyd the worms or no?
I don't even remember what that guy looked like.
That's an incredible question.
It's
though. I've never
the
even
old
thought
guy
about
with
that.
in the lighthouse.
Yeah.
Mark.
He was a Marine. He was in the armed forces. But Boyd saw like a tattoo.
Oh yeah,
on
he
him.
did.
It's like, you're a Marine. He's like, yeah, it's like Semper Fi or something like that.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I don't know.
Phew.
That would be a cool twist, I think.
I'm pretty sure the writers have probably forgotten that guy existed.
Probably did.
Like his whole plot point was like, give Boyd the worms.
Yep.
Boyd
That's
gives
it.
the worms to the guy. The creatures are
Which
like,
are never
oh,
brought
damn.
back
Yep.
up.
Now we forgot
Like-
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His hands are shaking again, kind of. Again, but I feel like the writers wrote themselves into a corner with that for him. Second question I have is also, how did child Victor survive? How did he move all those bodies, the cars, etc.?
Yeah, we had that question. Yeah.
Child Victor didn't move those bodies. More people came to the town. I think he hid, and as more people came, the adults that arrived were the ones that moved the bodies over time.
Right.
Hmm.
And he did say he didn't try to bury them. He buried their precious things, which is, for him, that was his lunchbox, I think his precious item. And he buried their items in that suitcase instead because he couldn't bury the bodies. And yeah, I think they got buried by somebody else, or wolves ate them. Who knows? But
Yeah. It's gruesome to think about, this little kid, he can't even bury the bodies. So like, what did they just have to stay there for all that time? And it's such a big question mark what he was doing in that time. I was hoping we'd get a little more of a flashback to like the immediate aftermath. Like, where did he go? Like, he was following the boy in white somewhere, but yeah, like what did he do with himself? We know he was alone for a long time. And I think probably I saw an interview with the actor who plays him, Scott McCord. He said that the showrunner who sat him down and told him about the part said that Victor was alone for years. So if he was 10 years old, maybe within a few years, he could have just taught himself how to drive the cars. It's crazy to think about. That's a lot of cars for this little kid to move by himself. That's wild.
Yeah, I got a couple questions about that massacre too, because for one, like all the bodies were like in the central road there, so I thought that was just weird. Like, what happened to, like, I guess maybe draw them out, and then everyone got massacred? And then two, this is a question for the panel. Do you think we'll ever see like the massacre like in one of the episodes, whether this season or following season?
I think we will. I think it's been teased so much that it will be relevant to whatever, if this is a cycle, whatever ends with this cycle. I think we will get a little bit more about it to kind of mirror in case this cycle is different. In case somehow they survive this and get out.
I would like to see that as a flashback. I think that would be pretty awesome in a weird, gruesome way. But it would provide answers, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wouldn't be like, here's a gore fest. This is going to be extremely violent. Viewers be warned, sort of thing. I think there's a way to do it without being too gory, but provide answers.
Yeah. I do have a question, and Julie, you might be able to answer. When the massacre for Victor happened, did they have the talismans at that point? I'm pretty sure they were still hiding underground, right? And the houses were just used during the day. Okay.
Yeah. Victor said that they didn't have talismans back then, so they had to hide every night. So they were hiding in holes. Yep.
And Christopher told them to hide somewhere else where he didn't know.
Yep. Yeah.
And just to confirm, the massacre that we see, we don't see their chests and stomachs caved in, do we? Like, we just see dead bodies on the ground.
I believe so.
I think we saw they were I know
But
one
were
of
they
them did
destroyed?
have like a bursted open chest or whatever.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the
'Cause-
chest cavities were all ripped open for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
the creatures did exist back then as well.
I have a question for the panel and chat. Do we think this is the first time this has actually happened in that town?
No.
Or do you think this has happened like
The
long
dates
before?
the dates on the lighthouse, whether it's a cycle or something, they have to mean something.
Right.
And there, Jade's also seen flashbacks of like people from different time periods as well
Right.
as ghosts. So I think this, whether you believe in the cycle theory or not, but I think this town has been around for this concept has been around for a long time in this world, in this like world of lore. Yeah.
That
But
would make
I
sense.
believe with the theory that Victor was an anomaly, like he wasn't supposed to survive.
Yeah.
So like he's kind of thrown a wrench into the whole situation, because you got to look at it like he's the only one that, as X was saying, has survived so many different years and different eras and he's seen people come and go. I mean, he has his own room in the house too. I think that's statement alone.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think Ethan is another wrench in the whole situation. I think children are a wrench because children are always more susceptible to like, okay, put my tinfoil hat on here right now. Children are more susceptible to kind of like entities and ghosts, paranormal. Yeah, they're always like, I remember when my twin sisters were 4 or 5, like barely walking, and their grandmother passed away. And one day they came out of their room like holding somebody's hand, walked to the door, opened the front door and let out. And my mom and I were they're very much younger than me. My mom and I were sitting on the couch. We looked at each other like, what are you guys doing? Oh, we're saying goodbye to grandma. So like, I feel children are more in general susceptible to the paranormal. So I think children in this world kind of throw a wrench to it. I also think that's why Victor kind of has a little, he's on the spectrum, like a learning. I mean, granted, he homeschooled him from like everybody's gonna be a little bit have a learning disability, but I really think it's also why he's probably not as able to be taken over by the entity, because again, people who usually are on the spectrum, their brains work a different way as well. So that's just where my tinfoil hat went.
Yeah.
So.
And like maybe that's why he forgot like about what happened, because that could have been a key into the entity not having any power over him. Because he was able to stow that aspect of his history away, tucked away. So maybe things are going to change now that he's tapping back into it.
Yeah.
I get that he's a bit he's very spectrumy and he's got the most PTSD ever, but I'm surprised that no one tries to ask him questions still. Like, there's a village over here. Did you know about the village, Victor? You've been here for 60 years. You know,
Right.
And no one asks him. Like, he's the one person who's been there the entire time. And like, he just kind of wanders around. No one asks him any questions or takes him seriously, but he's the one person who might know, oh yeah, people lived there or they didn't, or I never heard of the village. Either way, you want to get those answers from him.
Yeah, nobody asked
Same thing with the
anything.
crops too.
Yeah.
Did he never? Did anyone else not know that there were crops that just were magically growing there, like Jack and the Beanstalk? Like,
Jade is the only one that asks him questions.
Right.
Yep.
He
doesn't like Jade.
Yeah.
He does not like Jade.
You're
all.
right, though. That is what happens. It is Jade, and Jade pushes him away because he doesn't want to answer. Yeah, right. Okay.
Because Jade is too abrasive about it, you know. But he was the one who was smart enough to hunt Victor down. He was looking for him for a while. I think when was it that he was looking for him? He's like
episode 3, I think.
Yeah. He was looking for him like more than once during the series, like wanting to get answers out of him. And so I mean, thanks to him, you know, at least he couldn't get answers out of him very well because he's too abrasive and harsh. But you know, he connected Tabitha with Victor, and then Tabitha got more answers out of him. And you know, eventually Jade kind of softened his approach, and you know, he played the violin for him and got him to open up. You know, so at least Jade has the intelligence to look to Victor. But why isn't everybody trying? Because I know that he must have a lot of buried memories that you could try to dredge up. You know, like there has to be so much in there.
I think it's because they all see him as damaged. Jade is the only one who sees him as this wealth of knowledge and history, and that's why he approached him. Everybody else is just like, "Oh, that Victor, he's been through so much. Let's not bother him any further." When in actual fact, it's like he knows more than everybody. You should probably talk to him.
Yep, exactly.
Put him under hypnosis. That's my recommendation. Why not? We got tarot cards. Why not hypnotize somebody at this point?
Get the deep answers out.
Just drug them. I don't know.
Or threaten to throw him in one of the faraway trees. Listen, man. I don't have kids, obviously. You can tell that. So, but I do have younger siblings.
He's not a kid.
He's not a kid.
Yeah, that's true.
He's the mind of a kid, but
it's a man child.
Yes.
That's accurate.
So I feel like there's 3 big things about this episode. This one titled "The Light of Day." We get the Victor and Henry reunion, which I am appreciative because they didn't drag it out.
Yeah,
I thought they were going to.
I thought they were too.
We get the town hall that gets us nowhere, like absolutely nowhere. Yep. Which my biggest problem with the town hall is Fatima should have. If Fatima wants to give Boyd issues, she should have said, "Well, I'm eating rotten food right now. Like, there's something wrong with me." instead of pushing back on it. But again, heightened emotions. And then with Fatima being basically, and then Dale in the pool. That's the third one. Dale showing up in the pool. So, which was pretty gruesome. But what I want to talk about is the Henry and Victor reunion. Unless there's something prior to that scene that people want to cover. We good?
There was one thing I was going to come up or mention, because I think it's just it's a theory that I had, but I don't remember what part it came from. No pun intended. With the bottles.
Oh yes,
Or
yes. The
after?
bottles are the other thing. So yeah, the bottle. Okay, we'll talk. Let's start with the bottles. The faraway tree with the dates. I like this. Do you all have a theory about why there's no Bibles there? So there's no
yeah, because it's all
Yeah.
like evil, like and potentially satanic or something like that, basically.
I mean, there's no Bibles in
Oh, there
Norse
wasn't a Bible
mythology.
in the church.
Yeah.
On
Nope.
that note,
I don't think so.
when Victor's dad arrives, he's like, because his wife had been drawing images of this town before he arrived there, right? So do you remember when he's showing Tabitha around? There's a picture of like the sign that says the diner and motel. And so when he arrives there, it's like,
Where's
oh,
the
so there's a
motel?
sign for the motel. Where's the motel?
I told you that, yeah.
Yeah.
I
What do you think happened to the motel?
Where did they go?
This is what sort of makes me think that this is some kind of cosmic horror that is creating these surroundings, creating these creatures, these scenarios based on the psyche of each of the characters it interrogates from a psychological perspective. It goes into their mind. It sees their deepest fears, their insecurities, their curiosities, and tries to sculpt the reality around that, if that makes sense.
Kind of like an HP Lovecraftian thing going on.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Also, I forgot. Also, one of the major things is Tabitha's back. I don't like Tabitha.
Yep.
I'm not on Team Tabitha. I think honestly, I don't know. I think she's just a stand-in for whatever they originally thought of for Miranda. Like whether she's the reborn as Miranda or stuff, like there's weird stuff, right? There's the bracelets connection to it. Her now seeing the children too, but I don't know. Like I really don't care for Tabitha. I just don't really care.
I'm with you, Nadia. Miranda's a much more interesting character, and we've never met her. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, like I feel she is part of the problem of the miscommunication in this town. Similar to when we get to the town hall scene where everybody's like, oh, we can just go through these trees and get to this lighthouse. Girl, tell them that you had to fall out of the top of the lighthouse. Like, don't make it seem like this was super easy for you to be able to do this. Like you have to voice this, and
tell them that a ghost pushed you. And then Boyd mentions that he went through one of those things and ended up in a ditch, but he didn't mention the fact that he climbed out of it and saw a guy chained to a wall who cursed his blood. Oh, there's so much information that should have been dropped in that episode.
They leave out so many details when they eventually do say something to somebody. They always like skimp on even like big important details, and it makes no sense to me.
Oh no!
I feel like this scene.
Send him to a P. Diddy.
Oh,
Jesus!
The scene that epitomizes the miscommunication in this show is when Boyd comes back and is it Jim, the dad?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ethan and Julie. Jim approaches him and is like, "Hey, by the way, we got the radio working, and I spoke to some guy." And Boyd's response is, "Okay, I gotta go." It's just like, what?
Right? Gotta go. Oh, don't even get me started. You kidding me? Someone's finally sharing vital information with you. Nope, gotta go.
A sign that you're being watched as well. Like, and you just leave. You don't continue that conversation at any point throughout the series. God damn.
Right? Oh my god. Drove me insane.
I also like that in this episode yet again. Jade the man takes charge. He's like, Tabitha's back. I gotta go talk to her right now.
Yes.
Let's go.
Hell yes. Love it.
I think he's our voice. Possibly he's our voice now on the show.
I think so.
Yeah,
I can see
yeah,
that.
'cause he took off like a bat out of hell and did that, like that is what you need to be doing for that, like take action immediately. And I liked the comment he made about how, a meeting with more than 3 people is just a waste of time.
Yes.
Which
It's
is
like our
entirely true.
voice.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
awesome. He was like, "Man, fuck the town hall." Like,
Yeah.
Oh, what did he say? He said if there's more than 3 people in the meeting, it's pointless. And
Yeah.
I took that down because I want to use it for when my like real job sends me like a meeting.
I've been
You're
saying that for years at work. Yeah, no.
Yes.
Nick, you understand. You work in town.
Oh yeah, no. I've been saying that for years. I'm like, we don't need to have 25 people on this fucking Zoom call. Like, let the 3 or 4 people that matter the most, that are going to be determining, what's actually happening, talk amongst themselves, and then you send a fucking email out. If you have a question, Slack me. That's it's that simple. It really is.
Yeah.
Like you got Tabitha. She's the one that gets questioned. You have Boyd, Jade, and Jim. That's it.
That's it. That's all you need.
Boyd manages basically to kind of keep Jim from not just being super biased for his wife. Tabitha gets questioned, and Jade is asking all the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
then
would throw
from
Donna
there,
in there too.
Donna,
by the
maybe,
way.
yeah.
Yeah, Donna should be there because she
she's
was.
not
She
having a
also had
mental
the voice.
breakdown. But sure, no,
Oh, right.
yeah, I would put it. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
But also these people are NPCs. Everyone at that meeting were NPCs.
Right?
Like
Yeah.
they don't need to be there for any of this. I don't even know
That's
why
what I
they
was
were.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are these people?
Who are they?
Yeah.
yeah, because nothing
They're
happens to them.
insignificant in the grand scheme
Oh.
of everything. Like
Right.
nothing has
Yeah.
happened to these people. You know what I'm saying? Like
Dale
why
pulled
are
a
y'all
Leroy
here?
Jenkins and got himself killed.
I swear, a few of them are new. Like I was just like, who is this guy? Like I've never seen him before.
I know, right? Also about that town hall, the bus lady, whatever her name is, I don't even know her
Tilly.
name. But the black lady,
the driver.
Driver.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
driver.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
she flipped on Boyd and then went like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Like 10 minutes later, I didn't mean to do that. Like,
Right? What was that? What was that? He's like, what's to stop us all from lining up in front of that tree right now? And then later she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't more supportive." More supportive? You weren't supportive at all. What are you talking about?
We were both like, fuck it. Like, all y'all go to the tree. Fuck it. Go ahead. Find out what
Oh,
happens.
I was waiting for one of them to fall out of the sky because in season 2, when they threw the rock into one of the
Oh,
faraway
yeah.
trees and then it landed,
Oh yeah.
I was waiting for one of them to like see nothing happens and then their body just like drops right there. That would scare them.
I would have
I mean,
loved that.
What they used for Dale was pretty terrifying, but
Yeah.
I also think there's a lack of communication from Christy, Julie, and Randall on what they saw, what they did. Like, I get
Oh,
it;
yeah.
these guys have gone through
Oh,
PTSD through this, but if you all are trying to work for the same goal and you're not communicating correctly, like, what have you seen? What are the voices telling you?
Mhm.
These might be clues to help people get out of this town, and yet again, they blue-balled us, like not
Yeah.
telling us anything about what's
Yep.
going on.
Yep.
It's true.
And this awful haircut again.
Oh my god.
I
Um,
cannot
yes.
stand this crap.
Oh,
I'm like,
It's like
somebody
cut.
got some scissors somewhere.
is.
They did it
Terrible.
intentionally too, because they're like, "Oh, that's right, she's a lesbian. Okay, let's give her a lesbian girlfriend. Give her a lesbian haircut."
Yeah.
So when we were, of course, this is our first time on the panel, but I think that was the first thing we said season 3. The first time she appeared on screen,
Oh,
the
yeah.
first thing he said was, "Wow, they still let her have that ugly ass haircut."
It's too accurate. It's not a good look.
No.
Boyd's
Why is it
worthless
so much
son,
worse?
man.
It's so much worse than last season.
I was rooting for him. He's just really dropped the ball
Yep.
significantly.
I think the writers don't know what to do with them because they're so focused on Fatima's story of the
Mm.
two that I really don't think they know. Because honestly, if something were to happen to Fatima and the child, I get it. They are a couple, but there's no emotional stake here that has been written or shown to me that Ellis would go off on the deep end. Like, would he be
Mhm.
sad? Yes. Would he be mad, similar to Kenny? But there's no, I don't see him going on any type of journey if something were to happen to the two, to potentially his child and his wife.
Mhm.
I feel like he's just a level up from an NPC. He's just a
Yeah.
Somebody
With
to
cool
throw in.
drawings on his pants. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for like he's bothered me ever since season 1 where he's held it against his dad about the whole issue with his mother. And
Yep.
now knowing and seeing and growing up essentially in this town and seeing what this town can do to you, like to listen, don't hold a grudge against your dad. He's trying to do his best. Like he's trying to, you know, keep everybody safe and stuff. So I think that went a little too long, especially for the age he was starting off in this season.
Yeah.
But yeah, this town hall, I think we all agree was pretty useless.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think
100%.
what's Boyd's son's name again? I totally forgot.
Ellis.
I think Ellis could have a bit of a redemption, or maybe break out of this sort of, you know, above NPC tier mold. If let's just say their child dies or something weird happens, right? Maybe he gets freaked out about it. If it is a monster indeed, maybe she dies at some point as well. But let's just say they're no longer in his life. What does that allow Ellis to do? Does it allow him to actually further himself and be like, you know what, I'm going to fully support my father now and get behind him? So whereas you know, we were hoping Kenny would elevate himself and like take more initiative. Maybe Ellis is allowed to do that in time, given like a severe and like, you know, chaotic situation that will happen to him. You know, it's like things that happen to people propel them to do something else that is actually, you know, good for them in some ways. So maybe that sort of, you know, situation and scenario, you know, gets presented to him. And I don't know if they'll write it that way. Maybe he just turns into a, like a catatonic state and just, you know, is just like, you know, warped out of his mind because he lost, you know, the woman he loves and the child that he didn't really get to have.
I don't know if he's going to become a significant character or if he's going to go through a significant arc, but I do have a prediction for what will befall him. And it's sort of like a mirror to what we see with his dad. I think he's going to encounter Fatima eating one of the residents, and he's going to have to kill her in order to protect the others. And
you think he'll kill her?
Yeah, he'll kill her to protect the others. And that'll mirror what the decision his father had to make when they first arrived, and his wife went crazy and he had to kill her.
I don't know if he'll kill her at first, but maybe like he would.
Maybe over the baby.
Eventually.
Maybe over the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Because the baby could come out
The
normally.
baby could come out fine. Yeah.
Yeah, and she could be trying to kill, maybe catches, you know, she sees something that someone else doesn't see or they don't see. Thus, she's like trying to, I hate this, like kill the child in a sense. And he catches her and has to make the choice between what he thinks is his child and his wife.
Deja vu. They're in the Matrix, guys. Boom. Case solved.
I would be so
Let's pack it up and
angry.
go home.
Because I think originally this is supposed to go for about 5 seasons, or like it's rumored that that's what the showrunners want to do, like cap this up in about 5 seasons. And there's only this is 8 episodes this season, I believe.
10. We're gonna get 10.
10. Good.
They just didn't release them. Like there are 8 synopses released, but there are 2. The last 2 they just held back. Luckily, but total of 10. Exciting.
I think we're going to see a massacre happen. I think that's why we have so many NPCs.
Could be. Might not be the worst thing ever, really.
Yeah, that might not be a bad decision.
And I see them all sitting right between Ellis and right between Fatima. Just in her glasses.
They're all in the background.
She's always in the mix of everything.
Always.
I like this
comment.
comment.
She's there.
Saying the water is poisonous. I had this idea too. I'm like, why are you all just randomly drinking water out of these, like the sinks and stuff? Like, I get it, survival instincts, right? But that's a little weird. Like, or I don't know. Something could be in the water.
Yeah. For sure. They constantly show people drinking water out of glasses.
They do.
My friend had an idea, like maybe the water's drugged. Maybe there's LSD in the water or something. I don't know, but it's an interesting theory.
That'd be something.
And Chrissy, this is the scene you were talking about with Julie, looking out. I mean, it looks nice. Like this looks like a nice Airbnb from this angle.
It does.
Nice view.
Why was this scene in the show?
No idea.
I think I know why.
Okay.
Ooh, go for it, Julie.
Normally they don't do flashbacks, so I think this was absolutely a deliberate choice, and I think it was to show that, well, two reasons. I mean, first of all, to just once again hammer home the theme of dreams versus nightmares, which they want us to constantly, think about, and also the main reason because Fatima has completely morphed into a different persona since she's been pregnant with this entity or whatever. I think some kind of entity. She like this kind of puts it right in our face, like this contrast. You can see in this scene she had this ray of positivity, this ray of light coming from her persona in season 1, and yet there was so much darkness around her, but she was just all positivity. And now it's, you see this stark contrast in the meeting. She's yelling, she's not herself at all. So I think they want us to really focus on that. Like it's changed her personality. Yeah, I definitely think she's been influenced by that. It's not pregnancy hormones. Clearly this is not a normal pregnancy. That doesn't make you turn all vampire drinking blood. So yeah, that's a big reason why.
Yeah. Also, by the way, we have 30 people watching. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Make sure you hit the like button. Share the stream. Make sure also everybody's links is in the description below. Everybody on this panel is a fantastic content creator. So please go subscribe to them. You'll love their stuff. So please do so. I agree with you, Julie. It's because you're right. They don't really show flashbacks on this. And there's something about this in correlation to what Fatima said. It has to do something. I still think it's Norse mythology, though. Yeah. In the scene, also, Julie finds 2 really nice nugs. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how are those not dried out? How did you keep those, like, like, and do you grow it here? Like, can you grow it here? Like, where did you get those?
I will not get that answer.
By the lake.
Yeah, it's from Tilly.
On the topic of Julie, is it just me, or are Julie and Elgin the 2 most insufferable characters in the show? And that's why they've sort of paired them. Elgin takes way too long to say what he's saying, and I don't know. I feel like the actor playing him can't really act. He has the same expression on his face. And Julie is just insufferable. Like, and
yeah. Julie is annoying. I gotta say, I've never liked the character at all, and Elgin frustrates me a lot. He just he showed up and just spends all his time staring into space, and like I just want him to actually figure out what he's even there for, because he was supposed to have an important role. Clearly, he had a premonition dream on his way in on the bus, and seems like he recognized this place. And then we still don't know what's going on with him. So, the 2 of them are a good fit. Not a big fan of either one.
Yeah,
maybe that's
a really long time. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, brother.
I was gonna say they're just taking a really long time with Elgin's, like, where he's going. Like, they're really dragging it out, which I think for me adds to that aspect of, like, I get kind of bored when we're focused on all those characters. I'm like, we're not going to learn anything unless they just go ahead and push this thing forward.
Yeah, it's taking too long. It's way too long. At the end of season 2, I was waiting all season for him to remember this dream that made him so terrified that he threw up, panicked, begged the bus driver to turn around, and all he remembered, he's like, I remember now, and I was all excited on the edge of my seat. And it was just the boy in white reciting the nursery rhyme in the dream. There's no way that's all it was. That didn't make him panic to that degree. So there's got to be more. What are they waiting for? It drives me nuts.
They probably don't know.
They don't know. I feel like when they wrote that scene, they're like, oh, we'll have this new group arriving to the town, and we'll have one of them have a premonition about the town. What are we going to do with this character? Don't worry about that. We'll cross that bridge once we get to it.
We'll figure it out later.
Man, it's a Lost move.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like
I've never seen Lost, but
I don't have a problem. Yeah, and it's like I don't have a problem with Elgin per se, and maybe he doesn't have the best acting chops. But man, I was expecting him to come forward to Boyd at the very least. And say, like, I need to talk to someone about it, and maybe Boyd was willing enough to hear him at that point in the season in Boyd's journey in the town, but they didn't even do that. And that's one of the things, one of my gripes about this show so far still is that you have so many characters involved and you have all these ongoing arcs, but what ends up happening, as we've seen in other shows, is they write themselves into a corner. They don't know what quite to do. And then in turn, it kind of drags other parts of the show down. So then like when you start to progress, a couple of things here and there, it's like, well, what about this character? What about Elgin's dream? What about, things that could have helped them in the present time, figure out what's going on. And if there's anyone that he really needs to talk to, it's Jade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elgin needs to talk to Jade so they can figure some shit out.
Yeah.
Like,
Everybody
what did you
needs to
see
see.
in your dream? I need exact details. Like, let me just start, making notes. Like, but there again, Jade has a little bit of an issue talking to people without coming off too brash. But maybe because Elgin is, more of an adult than Victor, that Elgin might actually be able to open up to him and be a little vulnerable. But who knows? I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm really not. You've got 5 more episodes to go to advance Elgin's storyline, but I don't know if we'll actually make any headway, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, because it's making me not really. Yeah, it's making me not care about the kimono girl, to be honest.
Right.
Like I just don't, because we went from thinking she was trying to kill him, which I think the theory is more aligned that she was trying to block out the sound from the music box, because I think Elgin is somewhere on the spectrum where he's susceptible to stuff similar to like Sarah and Victor. So I think she was actually trying to protect him in the only way I guess an entity could. And then to seeing her and then seeing her again to asking for help. This is great and all, but this is being spread out way too long. Like I expected her to show up in the basement scene when they're trying on the 80s clothes and he's taking pictures. Like show up in a picture or something. I felt that was very much a filler episode because
we don't have time for filler.
We
really don't. We don't. Not in season 3. Nope. Sorry.
Nope. Waste of time. Waste of screen time. I completely agree.
Yeah. I did like the emotional toll that this episode had with Victor and Henry of reuniting with each other, where Victor, I'm sure it's relatable. Like you haven't seen your dad in over 30 years. He thought you were dead. Like, he only remembers the little boy. So I like the writing here and the emotional tone. And I, again, like that they did not drag this out another episode of the reunion between the two of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I initially thought that that's what they were going to do, because in the beginning we know that Victor and Sarah were supposed to be going to the cave, but then they took the detour to the house. So I was actually glad that they did that, because I was afraid that that's exactly what they were going to do.
I'm going to pull it up right now.
Yeah. I do like the conversation Victor has with Sarah when she's like, why did you bring me in on this and didn't tell anybody else? And he's just like, well, because you're scary. And I didn't think you'd be scared. I appreciate how matter of fact he is. He's not trying to hurt her feelings, or anything like that.
Because he's like a child. Kids don't have a filter, so he just says things. He's just like, "Well, you're the scariest person in town." So, and I loved his other line to her was hilarious. He's like, "Oh, my mom and sister died. I didn't murder them though."
And that's the key with the actor playing Victor. The reason he's so fantastic in this is he's not playing a character that's on the spectrum. He's playing a child, like with developmental issues. And so everything about him is so authentic for me.
It's good direction. Whoever's directing him to act this way in the writing is very well done.
They nailed this scene too. Like this is a tough scene to nail, and they absolutely nailed it.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and it kind of downplays the fact that everybody thought Henry was a bad guy.
Yeah,
like I don't think his kid would. Which I think both of these actors are very strong. I like these characters quite a bit. I know somebody said Victor and his dad look the same age because time moves differently from. Actually, time works the same. Earlier in the season, it's kind of explained that time passes through from exactly like it does in the outside world. The guy just has different genes. My guy, I don't know what to tell you.
I think
good for his age.
If you want to apply some sort of logical reasoning, I would say it's stress that has made him, age. Victor speaking. I mean, think about it. He went through a very, very traumatic. It's still affecting him to this day. So you're saying he's lived with that trauma for 30 something years. I mean, that'll affect anyone. And, it's not just emotional, it's mental, it's physical. Like, and obviously his dad doesn't look great either, but you can tell his dad's probably, in his late 60s, perhaps, maybe early 70s, to judge from his, age skin and his hair. But obviously, like, yeah, it's just genetics from the acting, from the actors themselves, right? So I get why someone would say that, and it's plausible, but that's kind of where I am putting my approach, is just stress.
Yeah,
I like that.
Severe stress.
Stress will do it.
Yeah, it'll kill people. It'll kill people. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's why Julie's smoking those fat nugs this episode. So I get it. Trying to tune out all that stuff. Again, this is the scene where we were talking earlier about Boyd turning down this police officer's help because she, quote unquote, killed a person by accident. Again, we all said, like, she should be shooting at all from the beginning. But I think this was a heightened sense of emotional going on through Boyd right here. I think this will be redeemed in the next episode. I think
so.
he'll actually have a talk with her. He needs more people on their side. Because from the town hall, all these people are like, all right, let's go to the faraway tree. My thing in my head is, like, you all see what happens in this town, and you really think it's that easy to get out for all of you?
Yeah.
Oh, and the fact that she came back should be a clue that it's not easy to get out, because she had no choice in the matter.
Yep. Exactly.
Do you guys think there's an ultimate way to get out of this town and not have to be forced back?
I think there's got to be a way. By the end of the series, I think someone's going to make it out. At least whoever's left alive by then. Otherwise, it'll be the most depressing ending for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think, again, you said it already. I think Jade's going to be the one that figures out this weird algorithm to permanently escape this hell that they're living in, and cursed town, whatever you want to call it, really. But there has to be a way. Because I mean, what's the alternative? Everyone dies and that's it. I mean, which is probably how it's happened for centuries and centuries, as other people have said in the chat. Like, but there's got to be an end. Like, there has to be some sort of finite, way, or maybe there's like a rule that even the, whatever's actually haunting this place or whatever's actually happening, like, there has to be some sort of end to it.
I think that the items that you use when you go through the trees help. I think this is Julie's theory too. I'm stealing, but that the items decide where you go, and so that's why the lunchbox took her to Victor's father, and I think to an extent Victor sent her to bring his dad in. That's my theory. Yeah,
100%.
Because all those other items are still. He brought them up at the same time to kind of show us that that's the connection. I think when he dug up the suitcase.
Yes.
Okay,
So what did Dale take then? Swimming trunks?
I guess the wrong one.
I do have a question about this scene, because everybody thinks it's dates in that bottle, and there was a date that she pulled out that was like, what, 26
2659.
But couldn't that
I think it's an address.
I actually think
theory.
doesn't Europe write dates backwards to us? Well, what would be considered backwards to us in the United States?
Yeah, other countries do. It'd be like
we do. We write it the opposite.
25-10 right now.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So couldn't it be February 6th of what was the last number? I can't remember.
59.
1959. Or wait, that would. Never mind. Anyway, that's what I thought. It was like a backwards number, because maybe they got somebody that's not from the United States. But what theories do we have, since it's come out, like, unless this is future a date here, and now we've got time traveling in multiverse, which I hope not. I really hope not. What do we think are the reason for these numbers in here?
My initial thought that they were addresses. I mean, I think if if this has been going on for centuries, I guess, who puts the bottles up there as well? That's a big question. I'm like, oh, great. So who took the time to attach bottles to these branches? But also, I found it kind of weird with some of these bottles that are literally hanging on like the frailest looking branches possible and have not fallen. At least you do see some, but also like, are there more that are just underneath the snow, underneath the soil? And I think that's what, the thing that was kind of frustrating to me as it was frustrating to Jay, where he's like, you didn't think these, numbers would be important, because there's got to be a pattern of some kind, or at least, more data to analyze within the bottles themselves. But, I don't think you're going to find a bottle that's, 500 years old there as an example. Right. So, it could still be dates. But I was wondering if it would be some sort of like location, like latitude, longitude, something like that. I'm not, again, it's another mystery. More questions. Coordinates. Yeah.
Yes, I think that too. I think that's what happened with Dale, is they've been taking the bottles down, and the aim is maybe off now.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh.
The trajectories. Yeah.
Maybe.
But I feel like in the season 2 they explain that the faraway tree you can never really determine where you're going simply by them throwing the rock in. It dropped. But Victor knew the night to save Julie, to stuff her in one during the attack on the colony house. Yeah. He knew to. So I think Victor just needs to be interrogated at this point.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
He knows too much.
Yeah.
Like, what's the worst that can happen? He's gonna run away. Oh, to where?
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, I think it's dates still. It has to. If it's not dates, it could be coordination. I can't speak today.
Coordinates.
Thank you. But there's dates also in the lighthouse too.
Right.
Julie, our from expert. What are these numbers, Julie?
Well, I mean, I was convinced that they were years, and now I think that they could still be dates. They could still be dates in the format of day, month, and year. So like 2659 could be February 6th, 1959. Like, they could be significant dates in the history of this place when something catastrophic happened, a cycle ended, something like that. So I'm still thinking in terms of dates. I like the idea of address numbers too. And people were looking at the dates in the lighthouse tower. There was one that was so close to Henry's house number, but it was not quite right. So if that had been the case, I would have gone with address numbers. But I still think dates. That's what I'm thinking.
Anybody else? Dates, places?
Yeah, I think it's just dates
as well.
Dates or coordinates, either one.
Could people's iPhone passwords?
Yeah, it could be. I think the future ones could be future, like could be a schedule. Like, it may not be time travel. It could be that on this date or this year there'll be another cycle starting, or another group of people coming in, or whatever.
Sorry, Zach. Sorry.
No.
Was the number I don't remember exactly. Was the number literally 26-59?
I can tell you in a second. Let me play it and see. Also, remember, I think Miranda set these bottle trees up, right? Here?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
She made... What's interesting is she made 2 bottle trees in Camden, and so she had we saw the one in her yard, and then the one they were on their way to see, which a lot of people were speculating maybe that has a hole in it, like a faraway tree, but we never got to see. And so I think she made those trees, and that's how they ended up in Fromville. Like, they got manifested into From when she made those trees. I mean, I've always wondered who hung those bottles in the trees. Like, how did they get up there? I think like she manifested them in there. Like, by making the trees in Camden, she somehow manifested them. And this kind of like a mirror pocket dimension that can manifest things from the outside world. It's kind of out there, but that's what I'm thinking.
Do you think that it's possible that she also manifested this place? Like maybe she painted these things and then they became.
That's an absolute possibility. It could be, yeah.
Doesn't fall in my Norse mythology though, so I can't take it with it, Christy. But
because we're told by Henry that they took acid outside the tree at the park, and that was when the visions came to her, and that was when she started sketching the drawings, which tie into things that we've seen in this area in From. We also know that she created those bottles on the trees in both locations, so it's sort of implied that she's also the one who did it here. A lot of mysteries. Miranda's the most interesting character that we haven't met.
So apparently 2659 is also seen in the lighthouse.
Oh.
As well. So I think it could be a date. So think of it this way, which I think would tie to like a UK date. So June 2nd, 1959, perhaps. Without the dashes, but if it's just a straight number, then like that, then it could be an address. But the problem is that there's no, we're missing context, right? We're missing a road, a street, something like that. That would also kind of point more towards like, is it a boulevard? Is it a lane? Is it a street? Is it an avenue? Like, right? You know, because then there's obviously more you can add on top of that. But it's interesting that's also in the lighthouse too.
Oh.
If only we could have gotten to that bottle tree in Maine.
Yeah.
AJ hated that part like so bad when she crashed the car. Well, caused the car crash.
I did. Yeah, I get why she's freaking out. I'm like, come on now, you've seen crazier shit.
So frustrating.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why Tabitha's the worst. I would take Sarah over Tabitha any day.
Like,
I'd go on a girls' trip with Sarah before I went with Tabitha. Okay.
Damn.
I will grant you, Tabitha annoys the hell out of me. If she doesn't stop with these, oh my god, no.
She sounds just like her.
Yeah,
that's spot on.
So good.
Oh, it's annoying.
Here we go.
Yep.
Jana said I never met a Tabitha I liked.
and if that's coming from Tabitha, that's facts. Jana, that's facts, 100%. And now we get the ending to this. Poor Dale, which I saw this coming. This character has been ramped. Like, I like him. I think he's us. It's like, why are we doing this? What is going on?
Right.
I knew they were ramping up to do something to him because there's no way they were going to let him free mouth like they have with this
I
writing.
can't stand him. I can't stand him.
But I mean, he's logical. He's like, why aren't you doing your part of the work, Jade? Why aren't we doing this? Like, he's us. Like, why aren't you guys doing this stuff? So, for all of his faults.
Absolutely. He also complained about them having their own rooms upstairs while everybody else has to sort of sleep on the couch and stuff. So it's like, wait a minute, are they going to kill this guy? Like, and I found it odd that both Jade and Tabitha do as little as possible to dissuade him from going through. They're just like, oh man, you want to go? We don't think that's. Okay. We're not going to stop it.
Yep,
that's horrible.
I think it's
they probably were like, hey, he could be the guinea pig. Fuck it. Yeah. Like, let's see where he lands up.
They did next to nothing. Tabitha's like, I wouldn't do that. Like that's all that they said, you know. Oh, God, poor Dale.
This town needs a dictator to come in and just line people up and go, okay, next into the tree. Let's see where it goes.
This guy, part of the ship, part of the crew, when with Davy Jones, you know.
Oh yeah, the effects are great here.
Yeah,
right? Obviously CGI'd for most of it, but the up close is really good.
God. Did you see on social media like the pictures that they posted of the prosthetics that they had to do to this guy to create this? It's incredible. It's incredible. Somebody posted them in my Discord, and I couldn't believe it. the
That's
work
cool.
that this must have taken. It must have taken hours and hours.
Are those
Let me
letters
go
next to
to
him? I'm just not
your
looking at that.
Discord.
Are they?
Oh
Letters?
Yeah, I
yeah.
can't tell.
I'm just not. It's like it almost looks like it says like I don't know out, but I could be wrong.
It does look like
It does kind of look like that.
Like that obviously the one on the right looks like a T. The one on the left looks like an O, but the middle one has like
Oof.
a weird.
Oh,
Oof.
wow.
Oh,
Damn.
the mouth one is like really.
Yeah,
Isn't
this is
that
the mouth.
crazy?
That-
Ugh.
That's cool.
And it was
That's
nostril?
a mouthpiece. That's a mouthpiece coming up there. You can see I can see the seam. The teeth are fake too, as well
Yeah,
on the
they
side
look fake.
here.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see it's really good. But you see the
That's
netting? That's part of the seam down there. I could see it right
That's cool.
by the
Oh yeah,
thing.
I see it. Yeah,
Yeah.
like directly.
It's great. I love the fact that they
nostril.
actually went with practical effects on this
Mhm.
one instead of just doing standard CGI. I think this is a good way of mixing it
Yeah.
together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Creepy.
That is cool.
Love
So
practical
good.
effects.
I wonder how long that took. That had to be a couple hours
Yeah, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
Easily.
to lay that down.
Easily.
And that's
You tell us how long would it take? That's your wheelhouse.
if it's just the face there, maybe 2 hours because
Oh,
you
okay.
probably already have the pieces made, and they'll probably what they'll do. Let me put my camera back on. They probably had like the piece like sections made, so they would prep the skin, prep the areas, and then lay them down, seam to seam, and then remove the seams if it's the newer stuff that they've been using in special effects makeup, and then color coordinate it and paint it down. But yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Yeah.
you now fill up the pool now that he's in there? Is that
Oh
like
my goodness.
I don't know?
Don't go in the Dale end.
It's still good.
How do you get him out? That's my question. Like, why didn't
chisel it.
anybody? Yeah, why didn't everybody just stand there and
Whose
just not
job
go
is
get
that
They're
gonna be?
something?
NPCs. They're NPCs.
Yeah.
Nadia.
Like somebody could have went like, I've got something to help start. Like you could chisel him out. Maybe he could have survived.
You could have
He
tried.
died in like 5 seconds. There's no way.
Yeah.
he's
Yeah, they wouldn't have
getting
made
out
it
there.
unless they had a freaking
Yeah.
jackhammer or something.
Yeah, the blood out of the mouth was a nice touch, but I assume he just died from suffocation if it's
Yeah.
in his mouth like that.
Yeah, like
Oh
they
yeah,
didn't-
all of his organs would have been crushed, and his brain
Yeah.
as well. Like he's under
it
a
looked
lot
like
of pain.
like blood vessels burst in his eye. You could see blood
Yeah.
in his eye in one
Yeah.
shot. Ooh.
I bet they just put a sheet over him next episode.
And you're right. They probably will.
I hope so. I don't
There's
wanna
a-
know.
I was wondering this. I was talking to Christy about this. I wonder what the panel thinks. Do y'all think that whatever this evil entity is has some sort of influence on where the tree can go? Like, do you think they allow it to go certain places? Like in this instance, do you think that they kind of help orchestrate him to be right in that position? You know, where the motel would kind of be, like that sort of thing.
It's an interesting question.
Mm,
I think it could be like that, or maybe depending on the mindset or like the intentions that one has while entering the tree. So, like someone mentioned before, when Victor pushes Julie in the tree, there was good intention behind that, and Julie nor Victor are bad, I guess, even though both can be annoying to their own reasons. But and I'm not gonna say that Dale was a bad person either, but Dale was very much trying to get out there in as quickly as possible, right? So I don't know, right? It's like in his haste, he met his own demise, and maybe if an entity is controlling whatever happens, when whoever goes in the tree, it's like, ha, you chose foolishly. I'm going to throw you in a pool. How about that? Or maybe it was just it was random, or maybe the bottles did, screw up the algorithm for trajectories. But I think it's plausible, AJ. I absolutely do think that could be the case.
Yeah.
I would say that the tree is one of the few things that the entity can't control, and is pure chance or random.
Yeah.
That's my take.
well, this
By the way-
tree,
Boyd controls it. She just doesn't know it.
I'm totally with Boyd when he's like, now you see? All right, who's next? Who is next? Like,
You believe me now?
Yes. I was like, it's like my football team winning. I was standing up. I was like, you tell them, Boyd. You tell them.
Yeah. We're all saying the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we have answers? I don't know, Jenna. Do we have answers?
Not
So
really.
every time we get a little bit closer, something else opens up. It's like
Never ends.
Like a mystery box.
The trees are different. You can go back there if you've already been there.
It's snowing.
There's no guarantee. Yeah, there's seasons. You just because you go in the tree doesn't mean you end up where you want to end up. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what other answers we have.
No,
the wires don't go anywhere. You know, don't know who's paying the electricity.
Oh yeah, that's
electricity.
That's done. Nobody. Why hasn't Jim said anything about that phone call? Why wasn't that brought up in the town hall? Why didn't say like, we found wires, and then this entity called me and said like, stop digging your wife because your wife like communication is such a downfall in this world.
Sucks. In this group, man.
Well, because I feel like the writers know that if all the characters are communicating, they'd be able to problem solve much faster than the writers can. Do you know what I mean? Like, realistically, if this town was in this situation, they'd be much more intelligent than the writers. I feel like there's a difference between the skill level of what the writers are attempting to do and what it is that they're able to do. So they're drawing things out for as long as possible. And the only way to do that is by making the characters dense and non-communicative.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will say that I was actually surprised. The writer surprised me with this one when they've actually referenced in this season the fact that Boyd and Sarah got drugged in that tent by whatever force or whatever that was. Like, so I'm hoping that comes up at some point because they've actually, I think, mentioned it at least 2 times.
Yeah, that gave me hope. They mentioned it twice. They mentioned dragging the tent, and they even mentioned all those spider webs. So that gave me hope. Like maybe they're signaling that answers are still coming, even for those questions from way back in season 1. Yeah. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, I just hope the writers haven't, again, wrote themselves into corners on a lot of things and make this a lost aspect. But this ends with Donna, and I really think Donna's going to be checking herself out. I think I think Donna checking herself out will be the thing that breaks Boyd.
Oh, that would be terrible. I mean, like
it would be.
I hope
there would be some. It'd be kind of eerie too, because one of her people did that to himself in season near the end of season 1 after the massacre that happened, and so if she actually did that, that would be brutal. I mean, she's strung out to a point where we've never seen that from her before, like the sobbing that she did in that one scene with Boyd. That was striking, because she's the toughest person, as far as I'm concerned, the toughest person here.
But that's why I think it would be the most impactful. Like something happening to Ellis, yes, or Kenny, because both Kenny is a surrogate son, Ellis is his son. Yes, that would be tragic. But think of it, how bad father's death was to him in end of season 1. Too.
Right.
Yeah.
And Donna they've comforted each other, right? They're Donna and Boyd only have each other to really open up of what's going on in the town. Otherwise, they have to look strong for everybody else because they are the pillars of this. So if Donna was to go, I think that's what would finally break Boyd.
Yeah.
I think that they're the pillars of the town, maybe, but they don't actually organize anything anymore. Season 1, they seem to be sort of at least some sort of loose organization over who does what, or jobs, or what time is good to go do what. We get Boyd with the bell every night, and you have to pick your home, and then that person who controls that home sort of responsible for you. And this is just, everyone's just kind of doing everything all the time. It's complete chaos, and like these people would not have survived this long with this lack of organization. It's odd to me that it's kind of fallen apart that way. And yeah, of course Dale's going to run off and jump in a tree. Who's telling him not to? Nobody.
Well, because they had a win last season. Last season, regardless what you think, last season was a win for them at the end, where they're able to save the three of them, Julie, Elgin, and the girlfriend. I forgot what her name is, Maria. So that is a win. And Boyd's saying, you can't break me, right? So the hero's journey, there has to be a dip. So this season, I think, is where we're going to get all those chaotic dips in this, where there's no hope. No, there's no light at the end of the tunnel kind of deal to set us up for season 4, where that would swing us back upwards towards a wind. Like there has to be give or takes with the hero's journey.
Yeah, it's not like a linear progress isn't a linear journey at all. Like, so I could totally see that. And as far as Dale, I think that they had to, I think something is controlling the trees. I don't think that it was random, because like he was put right in the middle of town right after everyone was just saying, what's to stop us from just like lining up in front of the tree right now? Well, now they're not going to do it. Someone, some entity made an example out of Dale. So now they're not going to try that. Because it wants to keep feeding off of these people's fear and suffering. It doesn't want them all to just like, it could just kill them all off, like have them all jump in the tree and just kill them at any time. But it wants to keep some of these people alive because it's feeding off of their fear and their pain.
Yeah. It's a game.
All right.
Almost.
We'll go around and give final thoughts on the episodes and where we think, because we're halfway through this season now, where we're going to think it's in. I'm going to start with you, Nick. Thoughts on the episodes and where do you think it's going to head?
I'll say, after the first episode that I was here for, I feel like 2 and 3 it was a step behind the first episode of season 3, but these last 2 episodes were definitely a lot stronger. Obviously there are questions that more questions that have come up. Still answers we do not have. But I think it's been compelling. This has been good first half of season 3. So far I think season 3 has been better than season 2. Are we going to do like rating scales for 4 and 5?
If you'd like. Yeah, you can, if you'd like.
Geez, I don't know. I mean, I'd say like somewhere like maybe around an 8 for both. It's kind of where I'm at, but like an 80 percentile, something like that. But where the next half of the season's going to go, I don't know. I'm intrigued, and I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait for 2 days since it's Friday, and waiting for Sunday so we can watch episode 6 and see how the second half of season 3 will kick off. I'm hoping it ends in a strong way. I hope we get the best cliffhanger we've gotten so far. I really hope we see some progress with our main characters. I'm not saying we need to get a ton of answers, right? But I forgot who in the chat said it, but I'd like to see the show get flipped on its head. That a big reveal that by the end of the season, when we're all discussing episode 10, that we're all just sort of like kind of shook in a good way. Like we can't believe this happened, or like, we got a huge answer, and but there's still a lot that remains to be seen, sort of thing. But I'm hopeful. I'll just kind of cut it at that. I'm hopeful for the last half of the season 3.
All right, AJ.
Yeah, I really like the season so far. I do feel like with the last episodes, we're kind of in that like filler territory a little bit for me. So I would like to see for episode 6 they kind of pick it back up and we start kind of driving forward towards more answers, because my fear is that we'll kind of repeat the pattern of just like getting some breadcrumbs while also just digging more holes, and we're just like left like completely in mystery without really like wrapping anything up and getting to certain conclusions so that we can open or progress to something new or more. So that's what I'm looking for this season, because I really hope that this isn't a show that runs for like 8-9 seasons. I really hope they stick to maybe like the 5, and we start to just get to the point, and I hope we don't get too drip fed and they start milking things. So I'm hoping that by the end of the season we'll have a little bit more clarity on what's going on and then how they can progress to, figuring either solving or getting out of there, whatever the case may be.
I don't know, do you guys rate the episodes?
We usually don't. But I don't even know what I would give the episodes. I didn't like them as much as the openings of the season. I don't know what I'd give it, but they felt weaker for me personally. I like the emotion, but it still kind of felt like fillerish for me.
I actually agree with you. But Zax, what about you?
I'm enjoying the season, even though I do have complaints about it, and I have fears about it based on everything we've talked about, and I'm concerned they're introducing new things and new mysteries that they have no intention of solving. Like with Boyd trapping a monster, that was episode 3, and they haven't gone back to that, and there's always new stuff. So I really hope they would focus on wrapping up the things that they bring up, and not adding more and more. But I recommend it to everyone. Season 3 has been really good. I've really enjoyed it. And I just hope it doesn't end up like a show like WandaVision, which at the time I wasn't on doing YouTube stuff, but I was listening to people and they had so many amazing theories and none of it was actually in the show at all. And the people watching it had way better ideas than the writers did. And in this case, I think probably from listening to you guys and watching your shows, you guys have way better ideas than the writers do. And I hope I'm wrong about that.
It's all Norse mythology, baby.
Maybe.
All Norse mythology.
Or Greek. Maybe it's Greek. Who could say?
Niet, what about you? Where do you, final thoughts on the episodes? Where do you think the season's heading?
Yeah, so I definitely think that, like you guys, the season 3 is much better than season 2. Season 2 just felt like they were wandering aimlessly with no real direction. Where do I think it's going? It's hard to tell because the writers, as Zax was pointing out, they introduce a lot of new things without tying up things that have been discovered. And so I do hope we have this massive, fantastic cliffhanger at the end of this season. But at the same time, the only way for that to be satisfying is for them to have answered all the unanswered questions leading up to it and then take us into a completely new direction. So I hope that all the characters get together and finally discuss all the tiny pieces of information that each of them have so that the community can make an informed decision, which hasn't happened yet. Yeah. But I'm happy. I'm enjoying the show. I think it's fun.
I'm glad you're enjoying the show. I was worried when initially that we all pushed the show on you, check it out. So I'm glad that you're enjoying it. For better or worse, right? With everything going on. Julie, final thoughts. Where do you think it's heading?
I think that so far the season has been head and shoulders above season 2 for me. I think they really stepped up their game in terms of this just horror factor and making the monsters more intriguing again, making them more sophisticated. I like to see the ambush tactics now. They've now staged 2 ambushes at night, 2 different ones, and it's fascinating to see. I like what they're doing with it. I mean, we've never seen. They're showing us things that I never would have expected that actually are surprising to me. That I'm enjoying, really enjoying the ride. The different portrayal of the monsters, seeing them walk around in their transformed state with their bald, freakish heads and shrieking on camera. Things they've never shown us before. A crow smashing through the window. Jasper the dummy talking in a flashback. I'm just thoroughly entertained. I do hope that. I'm entertained, but at the same time, I do want to get some answers. I hope that in the second half of the season, they're gonna start giving us something. They promised, the showrunners promised some answers are coming, and I'm just hoping that they actually meant it, and it's not just going to be things like who owned the truck that was in the pool, which was an answer nobody asked for or cared about. Two randos we never met, but I'm optimistic. I think they're off to a fantastic start, and I'm enjoying it.
I have the same sentiment pretty much as all of you. My only thing is that I felt these 2 episodes were set up to give us some more information and they lacked in it. The town hall was very disappointing. I really like. I didn't expect all answers. I didn't expect everything to be answered. I did not expect us to get like a whirlwind wow, but I expected it to set up these characters in a sense for success if they were open to communicating with each other, or at least give us something a little bit more. I felt they were both a bit of a filler episode, but I like the fact that we're getting our filler episodes now, hopefully, and with the next part of the season is going to be ramped up after this. Like set it and then ignite it and let it go. So for me, these both episodes were about a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. Not bad, helpful to move the story forward, but not impactful in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I forgot that part. I would have rated. I'd say actually episode 4 9 out of 10 for me. Episode 5 probably 8 out of 10. Yeah, I'm being generous with it because I'm just so relieved that I just find it so much more engaging and exciting, entertaining than season 2. I'm not saying I disliked it, but yeah, I agree. I was frustrated though. I wanted to see more from the town meeting too, but
oh yeah,
Agreed. We all
they need
did.
another town meeting where they talk about the town meeting that they didn't get to anything in the
but
town
just the
meeting.
5 people.
Just
the 5
yes.
people. That's it.
Yes, that's the only takeaway for these 2 episodes. A meeting only is important if there's 3 people to it. More than that, it's a waste of time. All right, I'll let everybody plug themselves. Nick, what do you have going on now?
I've got about 4 videos that I need to edit, so you can look at wherever this here. You can follow me on X and YouTube. Stay tuned for more videos and content, and then Monday for the Penguin stream with Nadia, Zach, and a few other lovely people.
Very cool. AJ, I figured Christy had to step out, but what do you guys got going on next?
Yeah, Christy had to step out, unfortunately. But hey, I just want to say thank you, Nadia, for inviting us onto this From panel. It's the first time here, so happy to have been able to join. It was super dope to talk From with y'all. But you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Spotify, Apple. We talk about horror over on our channel. It's all about horror. We do movie reviews, reactions. We got a reaction reaction and review coming for Azrael that just came out on Shudder. It's that new Samara Weaving horror film where there's basically no dialogue. Super dope. And then on Sundays we do a horror news live stream where we talk about all the news that kind of dropped in relation to horror movies, TV shows, and games over the past week. We go live 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific this Sunday. And then we got more stuff coming for the spooky month as we get closer to Halloween. But check us out, In Love with Horror, on all socials and on YouTube.
Very cool. I just started that movie, by the way, the one you're editing. Yes, I got 15 minutes into it, and I was like, wait a minute, is there absolutely no dialogue? Interesting concept to it.
It's awesome.
Yet, Alien Romulus is better than Aliens, but what's going on?
Well, we'll hash that out. Don't you worry. So I run a channel called Film Comics Explained, where we do film breakdowns, reviews, and general discussions on pop culture and media. I do like 1 video per week. Latest video was on, oh my God, what was the latest video on? I completely forget. It's like blanking. Smile 2, yes. And before that, we covered The Substance. But every Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, except for this weekend at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're covering every film in the Aliens and Predator series on my Movie Nights with Niat podcast. Nadia was on last week. This week, Zach's will be on. And I think, Nadia, you're back on the week after for Predator, if I'm correct. We'll double check that.
I think so, but we can figure it out. We'll figure it out.
But yeah, other than that, this was an absolute pleasure to jump on. As I said, I've been watching you guys, and I was in the chat, and Nadia sent me a message and was like, hey, if you've seen it, do you want to jump on? I was like, why not? I'll be on in 5 minutes. So this was amazing. It was great to meet you all. And that's about it.
I do have a question yet. What time is it there?
Right now, it's 1:32 p.m.
Okay, so not too bad.
Yeah.
Julie, what do you? I know you got a lot of From stuff coming. What you got going on, girl?
Yeah, for me, it's all From all the time right now. So On my channel, I'm doing my weekly lives for From on Wednesday and Thursday nights around 10:30 p.m. Eastern. And they tend to go pretty long. I bring on other content creators on the panel when I can. And I'm working on finishing a theory video, since these blockheads in From can't get it together and get a meeting going. I'm working on finishing my first From town meeting video series, where I'm just going to go through all the things they should be sharing and theories, try to get other people's theories in the comment section, try to make it a fun series. And Saturday night, in my Discord, which is there's a link to it on my channel, I'm going to do weekly From watch parties as the episodes are dropping. I'm going to keep doing that too.
Very cool. Yes, you are the From Queen, as I like to say, Zax and I, when we talk about it. As for myself, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern on this channel, I have an amazing panel put together. We are going to be discussing all 2024 horror movies that have come out till today. We're including everything up until today. And we are going to tier list it. There will be costumes. There will be discussions. There will be gags. I don't know what kind of gags. I expect Vex to bring them. But yes, please make sure you tune in there. And then on Monday, I'm on my pop culture channel, Inside All Day, where we are going to be discussing the next episode of Penguin. And then I'll be right back here on Tuesday doing my own horror stream about horror news that's coming out and stuff. So just subscribe, follow me. You'll see where I'm at. And again, please, I cannot say this enough, follow everyone on this panel. Again, their links are in the description below. You will not be disappointed, including Zax, who had to run off, but his channel is okay. Right, Zax? You're okay. But everybody else is fantastic. So on that note, thank you all for joining me today. I love having a group to discuss this. And until next time, stay spooky, y'all.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Everyone.